guys, what's up, and welcome to another video on Cyrus Sports Corner. And this weekend, we had some very shocking news coming out of Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys traded superstar and three-time All-Pro defensive tackle to the Green Bay Packers. There was a whole contract holdout. He wanted a new contract after last season. They picked up his fifth-year option, but he wanted to be here and he wanted to play in Dallas, but they weren't re-signing him, so he requested a trade. Jerry Jones was talking about he didn't want to trade Micah, but over the last few days, it sounds like the Cowboys were getting more and more willing to trade Micah Parsons, and as of Thursday, the Green Bay Packers win the Micah Parsons sweepstakes. And the return package was two first-round picks, I'm assuming for 2026 and 2027, and longtime Packers defensive tackle Kenny Clark. And immediately after the trade, Parsons agreed to a 4-year, $188 million contract, which makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. He also gets $136 million on top of that. And let me just say, as a Packer fan, this trade, oh my God, like, it's been 3 days already and it still does not feel real, you know? It does not feel real to me that Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. Like, there was a lot of talk last week and earlier this week. There was a rumor going around. Rollins went to shoulder and Jeff Rollins. Yeah, there was a rumor going around that the Packers and Cowboys were discussing a Micah Parsons trade and that the deal was almost cemented by this guy named Ricky Scoops on Twitter. He made an announcement and he said this trade might actually happen. And instead, the rumor winds up being true. Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. He'll be wearing number 1 with the Packers. He's the first person since 1926, when Curly Lambeau wore that number, to wear the number 1. And it's actually quite crazy when you think about it. And it's kind of crazy when you think about it in the aspect of, you know, there's always been, the Packers have had this stigma and this reputation of, oh, they're in on these star players. We look at Khalil Mack in 2018, Packers were in on him, but the Raiders went with the Bears deal because they thought the Bears pick would be higher, which I guess in hindsight is fair. It worked out for both sides. They've been involved in trade markets for other players, but they never wanted to budge. But then Micah Parsons comes along. They got a new CEO this year. Mark Murphy retired. Ed Policy is in. Ed Policy made his intentions clear. When he wants to bring a championship back to Titletown, and he wasn't committed. He's not committed to Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur past 2025, as their contracts are both up. But this was probably Brian Gutekunst's way of saying, okay, well, he's not committed to me, so how can I make a splash to show this new guy in charge that I can be the general manager of this organization? I will admit, I've been a Brian Gutekunst hater for some time myself. Although last year, he kind of changed things when he brought in Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney to big free agent contracts because they actually had money to go around, and now and they've been formulating the pieces here to build a strong team. And the Packers last year ranked bottom in pass rush. They have Rashawn Gary obviously on the left side. They had Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Enagbare, Brenton Cox, a bunch of other guys on the back, who, and that unit as a whole kind of underperformed. Gary was all right, nothing too special. The others kind of were just there. But now, this unit adds Micah Parsons, who in his 4 seasons in the NFL already has 52 sacks. He's had at least 12 sacks in his first 4 seasons. Who's been a Pro Bowler all 4 years of his career. He's been a 3-time All Pro. He's been 3-time All Pro. With him being traded to Green Bay, he joins Reggie White as the only players to have in their first 4 seasons to have 12 or more sacks, and he gets a nice new hefty contract with the Green Bay Packers. I think he'll fit nicely. He'll also take the pressure off of Rashawn Gary. Gary won't be double teamed as much, and now he'll have Mike on the other side of him, which that unit is going to be absolutely dangerous with Micah Parsons on that helm, which the defense was already a top 10 unit after how they played last year, but adding Micah Parsons might make them an even bigger threat in the NFC. So talking about from Packers standpoint, he did the introductory press conference. He broke down, how things came to be. He said when he walked into Lambeau, he saw the pictures of guys like Brett Favre, Reggie White, all that, Aaron Rodgers, all that fun stuff, and he says he wants to be there one day. He wants to put his name alongside those Packers greats, which I think he has the possibility to do, especially since as things are going right now, the Packers will have him for 5 years because his contract runs through 2029. Now, I will say too, I love this trade, and I wouldn't have done this trade if the contract wasn't already agreed upon, because I didn't want to give up those 2 firsts and Kenny Clark for a guy who wasn't going to be here past this season. But they traded him. They have a contract. They got him long term. So this isn't just they're going all in for this year. This is we're competing for the next few years, and they got even younger. They're still the youngest team in the NFL because now they traded their last Ted Thompson era Packer, and they got a younger guy because Micah Parsons is only 26. He's just entering his prime. So, yeah. Now, I'm going to miss Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark was a great team player. He always showed up to work with a positive attitude in Green Bay. He'll be missed in Green Bay, definitely. He, always brought energy. He had a down year last year and had signed a 3-year contract extension with the Packers last year. So the Packers are paying a lot of his contract while Dallas isn't. And it's unfortunate because I was watching a lot of videos and Packer players were like, and there's Cowboys fans were like, who? Like, Kenny Clark, when healthy and on his A game, is one of the best interior D linemen in the game. So the Packers lose a guy up front, and I'm going to miss Kenny Clark. So I just want to say thank you to him for his contributions over the last 9 seasons with Green Bay. He was fun to watch. I always enjoyed having him. Now the Packers fan aside, I want to speak about this from a Cowboys perspective. So I already talked about earlier, he didn't want to be there. Micah requested a trade and all that. And Jerry Jones went live, had a press conference later that night during the Micah Parsons trade, and pretty much said his logic kind of made. He said he traded Micah Parsons so that the picks that they got for him could be 2 Pro Bowl possible players. The problem is that the Packers are good and are like, divisional round, conference title round, whatever. It's going to be later first round picks. Now, we've seen fair share of Pro Bowlers come in the later first round, but giving up Micah Parsons for 2 possibly later first round picks, I don't know, and it makes sense from a financial standpoint. Now the Cowboys, can allocate resources to paying other guys. They already gave Darren Bland a 4-year, $92 million contract extension. They already got Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb under contract for a while. And my thing about, and people are acting like this that Dallas is going to be bad. I don't think do I think Dallas will take a step back defensively without Micah? Of course I do. But if you looking at their pass rush duo now, they got Sam Williams, who he's all right. They got Dante Fowler Jr., who has potential. They got Dante Fowler, who's a little older. Donovan Izuaku, who they drafted in the second round, who could fill in. When he's back, DeMarvarian Overshown, who had a great year last year with the Cowboys, could slide into that role for that. I'm not saying any of these guys I named are going to be Micah Parsons by any means. But that pass rush duo, that pass rush isn't necessarily the worst thing, even with trading Micah. So, but you gotta wonder what Jerry Jones was thinking. I mean, you did trade an all-pro player for less value, so it is what it is. So, but overall, like I said, as a Packer fan, though, as you can see by the hat, I am ecstatic about this trade. I went to go try to buy a Micah Parsons jersey, but those are already on back order. They're already sold out at Packers Pro Shop, so we'll see, because I want to be able to rep a Micah Parsons #1 jersey this year because, oh my god. But, guys, I'd like to see your thoughts on the trade, and if you guys like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.